It's another side that like wants to take more, but wants to go that one more round. Because like going that one more round when you don't think you can, that's what makes all the difference in your life. You know what I mean?
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of One More Round, the Rocky Series podcast. I am your host, Ryan, and with me today, of course, is Kyle, but not with us today is Katie, because she is on another, I don't know how she does it, another vacation. Katie's gone, but in her place, somebody just as pretty, somebody just as smart, and somebody just as adorable. Doug, how you doing?
What's up, Ryan? What's up, Kyle? Thanks for having me. And she does it, Ryan. There's a little secret. It's called not having kids. That's how you afford all these vacations.
Yeah, man. True.
But listen, since Katie's not here, I know you guys are repressing all your toxic masculinity. So I figured let's take a moment real quick at the top of the show to tell a couple of sexist jokes, you know.
Sure.
I will jump on the grenade for you guys so you don't get in trouble when Kate comes back. So all right. Hey guys, last night I tried to build a website for women drivers. It kept crashing.
Oh,
come on. Who's got the soundboard? If the dove is the bird of peace, what's the bird of true love? The swallow.
Oh,
the swallow.
Well, now the show's been officially canceled. We love Katie. We miss her. She is the maturity that kind of puts the glue together. You know, I find myself a little bit of better behavior around her, and she's wonderful. We love her. Check out her Retro Made podcast. She does a great job there. And let's just roll into trivia before we forget, because I want Doug to play for Katie, because I'm hoping we get some points here.
I've been following along with your trivia, and Rocky IV is probably the movie that I've seen the second most out of all the Rocky films outside the first one. These trivia questions are so hard on this.
There have been some tricky ones.
He's up in his game on the fourth film. That's for sure.
Oh, Rocco.
You ready there, Doug and Kyle? Here we go. How many pounds of pressure does Drago punch per square inch? Now, I guess this one's tricky because there was the display version, then there's the training version. He's probably
referring to the display.
Yeah, okay. We'll do whoever's the closest. And you can go over under. I hate that. I don't like the Price is Right rules. Whoever is the closest to that number wins. Okay. Or if you're bang on, you get the point. So. Who says whatever he hits, he destroys? That's right. I kind of gave away the answer with that. I think it goes with that scene, actually. There you go. Next question. What does Apollo call Drago's trainer? I think it was during the press conference. He calls him a derogatory statement. So I think so. I think that's the scene that Rocco's referring to. What word does the ring announcer say Rocky defines? Holy smokers. Doug, do you have this one? Tell me you don't have this one. Kate's got to get knocked on a peg.
I got it. Sorry.
What word the Rocky defines? Okay.
He says, what word does the ring announcer say Rocky defines? Is it just one word, Kyle?
Yes.
I keep thinking of at the end of the first Rocky when he says guts and stamina, and that keeps coming to my mind, but I know
it's just one word apparently.
I know.
Last question. Who does Rocky pull on the sled? Okay. All right. Well, okay. So we'll save those answers for the end of the show. But before we get into the meat of the show, which of course is the movie, we'll for sure get through the pre-fight events. There's a lot to discuss because the director's cut gives us new scenes. We'll try to get into the fight, maybe even round one. I think what will happen now, because we'll do all the pre-fight stuff, I think the next episode, I think you could just end with the fight. I think that's probably what would happen. Okay. So here we go. Some emails. First one is from Mike, or Michael, from the Screen Nerds podcast, our faithful as of late. This guy gets in right away. I guess he watches this show live because he'll email me the day we record with his email while it's fresh in his head. He goes, "Hi, Ryan, Katie, and Kyle. Some thoughts on episode 12. I was a bit disappointed that the director's cut removes the Chipmunk song that Paulie is listening to. I feel like it helps convey Paulie missing home, and the song fits with the holiday season. This was an editorial change I didn't like. I never noticed Rocky's knit cap flying off his head during the training sequence. when he's pulling Paulie on the sled until Yell pointed it out. So I wonder if Michael's from the South because he actually wrote Yell. I think it only happens in the director's cut. In the theatrical cut, it stays on his head during that lunge, but there's one close-up shot where you do see Rocky not wearing it. Doug, did you catch that cap flying off moment?
No, I heard you guys talking about it, but I never noticed that. And I haven't gotten back to watch it, but I'm going to definitely pay attention next time I do.
Yeah, it's on our YouTube. Again, if you want to look at our YouTube videos, every episode is available for free on YouTube. One More Round, the Rocky Series podcast on YouTube. You can watch us, see what we look like if you want to, and you can see the video as we describe it. Everything's been cleared on YouTube. I can't believe it. For some odd reason, every single video is cleared on YouTube. There's no blocking or anything. It's all cleared. It's weird. Other than the music, they don't care if we talk about the movie. He goes on to say, one sequence from the theatrical cut training montage that I wish had stayed in the director's cut was Rocky shadow boxing outside at night. He said, I always thought that was a cool shot. Instead, the director's cut shows Rocky carrying the log over his shoulder after finishing that part of his training. So I agree. That's kind of odd to carry the log on further and not do the shadow boxing outside at night.
No, I agree. I like this guy's email.
Well, Michael's a better podcaster than we are. Well, he's certainly a better emailer than we are. He's always very insightful and intelligent. So check out his podcast. There's more. He goes, a couple of minor cuts from the theatrical version that I found interesting and don't understand why they were removed in the director's cut happened during the sequence with Drago running in the distance. In the theatrical cut, there's a quick back and forth between Rocky running in the snow and Drago running inside the facility. Also, there's a quick shot showing Drago's trainer checking Nikolai's time right before we see the two of them watching Drago run from behind. He goes on to say, I always love the moment in the second part of the training sequence when Rocky is pulling the rope to lift the rocks. When he gets to the point to drop them, we see Adrian nod and Rocky lets go of the rope. I've always loved that subtle nod from Adrian. Okay, that's a good point. Yeah. Lastly, he says, we also had another Ludmilla scene cut. Of course we did. Cut right after Drago finishes lifting the weights. In the theatrical cut, there's a shot of the crowd applauding with Ludmilla in front clapping, followed by a close-up of her looking pleased with the results. Great work as always. I'm looking forward to hearing you all break down the big fight, Michael. So thanks, Michael. Yeah, of course, if Ludmilla can be cut out, slide to cut her out. It's absolutely ridiculous. Anything that's wrong with Rocky IV, because there are things wrong with Rocky IV, even in the original and or the director's cut, none of them have to do with Ludmilla.
Mm-hmm. It all has to do with Brigitte.
That's where you know Sly. It just kind of proves that is it an artist cut? Like, is it an artistical cut or is it personal?
Yeah, well, I think we convince ourselves it's not personal, even though it is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I don't see how you can even make the argument that it's not, because otherwise there's no reason to. And I think it's, God bless Sly and everything, but I think it's pretty childish of him to hold on to bitterness after 40 years,
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, I think that's kind of one of his things. I think he's a very emotional person.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just that, but like the thing with like Erwin Winkler and stuff like that, like very strong emotions coming from him. And it's not totally unjustified either. It's not like, he's super sensitive, but it's like he feels things deeply.
That one I understand.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, remember that Erwin Winkler? That was a great coverage we did on the show. The Erwin Winkler dispute. I did a few episodes on that back when that happened. He was
angry.
He was angry, and he displayed that anger on Instagram, like with bloody pictures and stuff. Remember that?
Yeah.
That was odd. Okay. All right. This next email comes from a longtime listener. This person says, hello, friends. I have some info related to the chess scene with Duke that you might find interesting. It turns out Tony Burton was a pretty talented chess player. In fact, when he was on set for The Shining, his contract was for 1 week of work since he only had 2 short scenes. However, during that week, he played chess with Stanley Kubrick, who was a master chess player. In their first or second game, Tony actually beat Kubrick. Kubrick was so impressed that he insisted Tony stay on set so they could keep playing. Although Tony never beat him again, he never gave Kubrick an easy win, which Kubrick loved. Tony ended up staying on the set for 6 weeks, mostly playing chess.
The more I learn about Tony, the more fascinating of a guy he is.
Yeah.
Like Tony boxed for real. Tony did jail time. Tony's like a talented chess player. That guy, he's a pretty cool guy.
He's led a life, huh?
Yeah.
I also heard your remarks about Rocky's black outfit and Drago's white outfit during the training montage. As far as the color symbolism goes, black is traditionally associated with evil or villains, example Darth Vader, but it can also symbolize strength and power. In the case of Darth Vader, he is completely covered in black, which gives the viewer the impression that he's the villain through and through. Not to get too deep into it, but another great example of versatility of the color black is Luke Skywalker, Return of the Jedi. He wears black throughout the movie because, as viewers, we're supposed to think that he might fall to the dark side if he's not careful. Like in his first scene where he force chokes the palace guards, which is the dark side skill. Let me just say this side note, dear emailer, about Luke in the black Jedi robes, the Jedi outfit. I saw that movie, of course, as a kid in the theaters when it came out. I really wish they investigated more of Luke kind of maybe going to like a middle ground dark side. I think that would have been his badassery in the beginning part of that film. And then when he becomes that old Luke at the end, it's not as good. I kind of wish they investigated a little bit more about him being titillated by the dark side.
Yeah, like a little struggle.
A little bit of a struggle. Yeah. But he just used it as a cover more than anything else. Like, oh, I'm pretending.
Right.
However, late in the film, when he's fighting Vader, his shirt opens, revealing a flap of white material, symbolizing that he will retain his goodness, and that the black was a symbol of his strength in the Force. With Rocky, he's wearing black, but not completely covered in it. So it could symbolize his power and strength, or maybe I'm just overthinking it, and it could simply be a natural contrast to the snow. On the other hand, white is a symbol of goodness and purity, which Drago is none of. So I think it's meant to show the clean and sterilized environment he's trained in, while Rocky trains in a rugged wilderness. But that's a good exposition all the same, dear emailer. Anyway, sorry for my long rant. My co-host on the podcast I do, Jason, would have hated that. So thank you for indulging me. Your friend, Doug! Doug!
I was going to say, that guy he's smart. He has a lot to say about color theory. That was something.
If you want to get more of this incredible coverage of color schemes in film and the Rocky films, check out Doug on the Rocky Minute Podcast. Just Google the Rocky Minute Podcast. You'll come up in all your Google searches where you can listen. It's on our last Action Heroes podcast feed. Doug, are we going to get season 3 going on our feed again? What's going on? Come on. I'm always bugging you for it.
I know. You know what I actually I might end up doing, because I lost some episodes. I might re-record some of the early ones.
You might have to.
And then just start from the beginning with Rocky 3 fresh and just do,
You have to keep moving forward. At this point, you might as well just redo them.
Yeah. I think that's what I'm going to have to do, because I make way too many comments about me still being married to my ex-wife.
Oh, bless her heart.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to cut LaMilla out of your podcast. All right. Now, before we go into the show, thanks, Doug. That was very kind of you to email. Doug, you've emailed us a few times. We always appreciate your comments. Very well spoken. You're not as dumb as you look. You're actually as smart as you look. There you go.
Appreciate that.
Appreciate. You're very smart. You're very smart. Okay. I do have a couple comments, though, from our YouTube. I don't like to get into the YouTube comments too much, but sometimes they're worth getting into. I feel like the emails are a little bit more kind to us. I don't know why. Whereas the YouTube comments seem to be a little bit more critical, which is fine. I think it might just be easier to comment on YouTube with that kind of. Very rarely do people comment on YouTube and say great job, whereas emailers will. We got another email here from Eccentric Views on YouTube. He just said, shame you didn't do your usual side-by-side comparisons, because there were a couple differences you missed, like how Sly swaps the clip of him scrunching up the photo of Drago with him doing the jump rope with his top off. Also, I have to correct you, Ryan. That wasn't Sly at the top of the mountain. You should watch Angry Video Game Nerd's video of when he went to that location himself. It's a much watch. Now, I did reply and say, well, thanks for watching. Don't have time to always do the absolute side-by-side, and we won't be for the final 2 episodes either. We did cover the original film in its entirety on our Going the Distance podcast. Odd that they got someone else to run the mountain. I thought for sure that was Sly. I said I did watch the Angry Video Game Nerd episode because I interviewed James twice. One of the interviews was for the documentary itself, and his buddy in that video, Derek Wayne Johnson, I've interviewed 4 times. It was a fun video, but I admit I don't recall James stating who was at the top, and thus I don't recall how he knows. I guess I'll reinvestigate his claims. And I did do some Google searching, so it turns out that it was a stunt double, according to my internet search, that ran that part. You see that part where he's almost on all fours running up the scaling of the mountain. Fair enough, because we do know Sly does have a legit fear of heights. I appreciate you, Eccentric Views, correcting me, but I will correct you that I've watched that episode and of the Angry Video Game Nerd, James, and of course I've interviewed him twice. Great guy. Doug, this is where I need your help. This is from J.R. Galliato. They had nothing but corrections for me, or just additional information. He says the machine Drago is using in place of the speed bag is an actual device that boxers use. It's used for shoulder burnout for muscular endurance. Remember we talked about that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I had a shoulder operation years ago, and that was part of my rehab. to use that machine, and you can crank up the intensity so it's harder to move, kind of like you would on an exercise bike. I don't think there's anything that compares to the natural hitting the speed bag, but
well, yeah, and we only brought that up because the editing was such they're showing Drago using that machine in juxtaposition to Rocky using the speed bag.
Yeah.
So he's building his muscles, sure, and Rocky's building his hand-eye coordination. Okay, he goes on to say, these are all three different comments. His second comment was, Drago is not powerlifting. That is a clean and jerk. It is weightlifting. Powerlifting is squat, bench press, deadlift.
Mm-hmm. Well, they call the clean and jerk and the snatch and stuff like that, they call that Olympic lifting because those are the moves that they do in the Olympics and like competitive weightlifting.
Okay. And his last comment was, her name, I guess, Talia, her name is pronounced Talia. I say Talia. So, Shire, my apologies. So I wrote, after all these three comments, I said, hey, thanks for all the corrections. Hope you enjoyed our show.
Nothing but corrections. Who's going to keep you honest if not the YouTube viewers, you know?
I know. The funny thing is I don't think we've ever claimed that our podcast is like a Wikipedia. We're just shooting the shite about a movie. We're just off the cuff talking about the scenes. And of course, I have no inside knowledge, no background about in this scene, we have this going on, in this scene, blah, blah. Anyways, so thanks guys for watching on YouTube, though. I do appreciate you guys watching on YouTube. We do have a few viewers there. So
those are a little nitpicky, though.
It's a little much.
There's some personalities where people are like really pedantic and precise. Like a lot of those people end up being like engineers or like that type of profession. Where it's like, for me, I'm just kind of like, it's close enough. Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Actually,
yes.
Their glasses up their nose.
Yeah, that's funny. Rocky's just called out Drago on the mountain. And on the original cut, we're going to start with that. We're going to go right to the fight inside the arena.
Hello, everybody, and Merry Christmas from a very unusual place. We're in Moscow in the Soviet Union. I'm Barry Tompkins, along with Al Bandero, and this promises to be the most watched event in boxing history. The Iron Horse from America, Rocky Balboa.
Now, that's the first time we've gotten that nickname, is it not?
The Iron Horse?
Yeah, we got the Italian Stallion. We get the Italian Chicken, or whatever that was.
Stallion
names you never hear except for Master Disaster. That's like the one that actually shows up in his fights. And then it's like the Count of Monte Fisto. It's like, I've never heard him called that.
I love that one, though. Count of Monte Fisto. That's my favorite. Stallion Horse. I guess it's, just a little play on it.
Yeah, he's got the Iron Jaw. I guess the Iron Stallion, or I know it's odd, Iron Horse, but that's the first and only time we hear that nickname. But fair enough, he has it now. It's in addition to everything else he's called. Sure. What I like here, of course, they're quickly just showcasing this is a worldwide event. It's not just America and Russia. We got Italy is here to speak Italian to the viewers. We have Japanese folk are here speaking to Japanese viewers. This is a most watched event ever in boxing history.
Do you think they would actually have placards there detailing which country is sitting in what section? Or is that for the viewer?
I think it's for the viewer.
Yeah. Italy.
Yeah. And then it says it in Russian.
Yeah, why do the Russians care who's there? Like, as long as Italy knows where to go, who cares if the Russians know that's where Italy is? Yeah.
Ivan Drago. Since that tragedy in Las Vegas and the death of Apollo Creed, has been re-nicknamed Death from Above.
I mean, that's a great nickname. We don't get the reason why he's called Iron Horse, but we know since the tragedy in Las Vegas, Drago's been called Death from Above. I don't think from the Russians, maybe just the Americans, or is it both countries?
I don't know. You say it with two different purposes behind it, though. One's with pride and the other is with like devastation.
Okay, now we cut to Rocky's eyes, close up on his eyes, looking pretty, not forlorn, but pretty like, here we go, in the moment, stoic.
Is that the eye of the tiger right there?
The eye of the sly, at the very least.
Yeah.
It looks a little bit like
Sad,
forlorn.
right?
Yeah.
There's a little melancholy to those eyes.
It's like, there's no turning back now.
Just a quick shot there, the locker room. Now, I don't know if you caught that on the window. Did you catch the reflection on the window of anything? It's very quick. And I only caught it on the window reflection because the director's cut shows us more of the inside. We're going to go back and forth a little bit quicker with this because I'm going to show you that scene is extended in the director's cut, and I think done in a good way. So the crowd's chanting Drago. he'll see in the director's cut. There's a better shot of them all together. Rocky's praying.
I love the flag that Paulie's got wrapped around him like a blanket.
Yeah, what is the rule of flags? Is that allowed? Are you know, I know Americans are very proud about their flag. That's what I'm getting at, is like, you know, they'll put it on their trucks or their homes, or you know, we have a thing in Canada, like when we do flag ceremonies. Yes, we do everything we can to make sure it doesn't touch the ground when we fold it after a ceremony or something. I don't know what the rules are. Can you wear a flag around your shoulder? Is that allowed?
Honestly, I don't think it is supposed to be worn that way. You're supposed to display it prominently where you can see the stars and bars all at once. There are rules to displaying it too. If you don't take it down every night, you have to have it you're supposed to have it illuminated at night. Okay. Yeah, obviously no other flags go above that flag. Right. It's supposed to be the biggest and the highest.
There you go. So you got some rules down. That all makes sense. I'm sure the same up here to a degree. I can't imagine, because we have flags next to other flags, of course, in Canada with different government buildings and what have you. I can't imagine the American flags above our Canadian flags. Same rule, I'm sure.
At the Olympics, we watch the track and field, for example. The medal winners will have the flags draped around their back.
That's right. They do. They run around with it behind them. That's right. You're right.
Now, Paulie isn't winning any medals anytime soon, mind you.
Not anytime soon. Don't give up on them.
But also, it's like there's flag rules, and then there's what you can actually do. Like they're all they're basically suggestions. You're free to do whatever you want with the flag. It's not like the law says, if the flag touches the ground, you go to jail.
It's amazing what you can find on Google and how quickly it comes back.
What is this thing? What is this thing you call Google?
According to the U.S. flag code, it is not acceptable to wear an American flag as a cape or as clothing, bedding, or drapery.
Paulie, always messing with the system, this guy.
I tell you.
Well, he's not in America. He's in the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics.
All the more reason to display it properly.
Yeah.
But we're not going to take too much away from Paulie.
It is an odd choice, but both by Sly as the director of the show and
the General Secretary of the Soviet and other members of the Politburo have now made their way to their seats high above the ring here in Moscow.
Now, this shows my ignorance. I know, Kyle, you're very smart about politics, especially Russian politics. I Googled who was the director of Secretary in 1985, and I didn't realize that was the same as basically the president of Russia. It was Mikhail Gorbachev. I didn't know that's what they were called. Yeah, it's supposed to be Mikhail Gorbachev.
He looks like him.
I did Google his name, but it's irrelevant. I hate to say it, but he's done various roles throughout the 80s playing Mikhail Gorbachev. That's his thing. He's a lookalike. He's American who looks like Mikhail Gorbachev that they've used in films and stuff. So
I just always thought it was supposed to be a Gorbachev ripoff. I didn't really pay too much attention at the title they gave him, but
not too long after this, Gorbachev does his glasnost and perestroika policies of trying to change the Soviet Union and open it up and all this stuff, which accelerates its decline, which I think was inspired by Rocky's speech. So you could say that Rocky single-handedly sped up or even caused the collapse of the Soviet Union.
Mm-hmm. There's rumors, we joke about it, but there might be more truth to it than we give it credit for. Who knows? Who knows? Okay, so he's waving to the crowd.
I know you're kind of busy just now, but I want to tell you some things I never told you. I know sometimes I act stupid and I say stupid things, but you kept me around, and other people would have said, drop that bum. You give me respect. You know, it's hard for me to say these kind of things because that ain't my way. But if I could just unzip myself and step out and be someone else, I want to be you. You're all hot, Rock.
Wonderful speech. We all know that moment. Look at Adrian there, just loving that moment from her brother. It's a sweet moment.
He's probably never said anything that sweet to Adrian in her entire life.
Yeah.
That's a good point, Doug. No, that's a very good point, because you remember in the 6th Rocky film where he's like, you had the good times, I had the bad times.
Okay, so imagine in this scene if Adrian tries to join in on this. She's like, oh, boy, that was so nice. She's like, shut up.
Yeah. Coming from a character perspective, it must have been incredibly difficult for Paulie. Take somebody who's not normally sentimental and you get them to say something sentimental. It sounds awkward and clunky. You're mispronouncing words or like adding syllables where they don't belong, and he kind of did that in that little speech too. It's not his way. like he says.
I thought it was really well done. It was concise. Doug said it recognized that Paulie really out of his element doing this, and he acknowledges that. And I think it kind of ruins it later on when he like takes it back. But
yeah, well, I mean, it wouldn't be Rocky IV without
yeah.
But I'm glad they didn't go the other way and have him do some eloquent, really verbose speech. Where it just didn't fit Paulie. I'm glad they did it this way.
Okay, so that's a sweet moment, of course, and Adrian loves it, and the crowd, the viewing audience loves it, and it's a wonderful moment.
Now blast this guy's teeth out.
I'll try.
Didn't he say I'll try? He said it to Duke, right?
Yeah, he said, Duke, I'll try.
Yeah, so here again, I'll try. Blast this guy's teeth out.
That's the typical Paulie. He's sentimental, he's soft, but now he's always got to be a little bit of I'm the jokester, I'm the comedian of the film. So you have this tender moment. Of course, he says this, and the crowd in the theater goes, Paulie, he's back. We all laugh a little bit. Adrian gives him a touch on the shoulder saying, I really like that, Paulie. Thank you. Let's go to the director's cut now. See some of the changes. We have some additions and things that were taken out. Let's check it out. So again, director's cut. Right after the Rocky climb, we're going to go to the inside of the arena.
Hello, everybody, and Merry Christmas from a very unusual place. We're in Moscow in the Soviet Union. I'm Barry Tompkins along with Al Bandero, and this promises to be the most watched event in boxing history. The Iron Horse from America, Rocky Balboa, comes here to the Soviet Union.
It's funny, they actually showed the Japanese people there. I don't think they were shown in the original cut.
Ivan Drago. Since that tragedy in Las Vegas and the death of Apollo Creed, he's been re-nicknamed Death from Above.
Right there. There's the shot.
Christmas tree.
Yeah. So I love
you can see that in the reflection.
When Rocky looks through the window at the soldiers, you can see the lights in the window. I don't know if any original theatrical cut people ever caught the Christmas lights in the window, but that's where it's coming from. It's coming from this tree. So it's just kind of funny because the Balboas in their changing room here in Russia, probably Adrian, she probably took the time and effort, sweet, sweet Adrian, to put up a Christmas tree in Rocky's dressing room, a little bit of Christmas from home here in Russia to make them feel a little bit happy here. What do you think? Who do you think put up the tree? Was it Paulie or Adrian?
I got to go with Adrian or Duke. I mean, just like you said, a little taste from home, something to make you feel like you're back in America for a few moments.
I'm going to say Paulie.
Oh,
the reason being is it kind of looks shitty, like him thrown together. So it seems like something he'd do.
Fair enough.
It's not the best tree in the world, but I mean, so then the question is, was it packed?
Yeah, you're not going to get like all the lights and like it's the Soviet Union. It's like central planning, right? There's no central planning. It's like we make Christmas stars and tinsel.
It's just the very tippy top of the tree that he chopped down in training.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think Paulie would have had the foresight to pack the Christmas tree.
Okay, how about we say this? Adrian packed the stuff. Paulie threw it together last minute.
Oh, maybe.
That's fair.
So they're getting ready in the dressing room. But this is a great shot. I mean, look at all four characters in the shot. That's what I like about this shot. This didn't happen in the theatrical cut. You just have all four characters together. I don't know why. It looks great. This looks like a nice
Plus
shot.
the guard.
They have to remind you with the poster on the wall that you're in the Soviet Union.
Mm-hmm. Lest you forget.
Yeah, not that military guy's staring at you the whole time.
The voyeur in the window. He looked a little more intense in that.
Yeah, exactly, Doug. There's more intensity in Rocky's eyes during this cut. And what I like too is in the theatrical, they kept cutting back and forth between the crowd cheering and them in the change room. But what I like here is you have all four of them together, and they all hear they hear the thunderous cheers of the crowd chanting Drago's name. But we don't cut to the crowd; we just hear it from their perspective in the change room and get that ominous feeling of just this hostile crowd, so to speak, that's out there or waiting, waiting for them.
With Adrian's reaction to it too in the original cut, she looked almost scared, like in the zombie movies where like you hear the zombie horde coming. She had like a look of fear on her face. And Rocky had that melancholy look in his eyes. Here, it was just on all of them. It's all business. Rocky's eyeballing the guards. I love it.
That's a great shot of Adrian. That's
her intensity. Yeah.
Yeah. She's like, you've got this, Rocky. She has a look of like, we've got this. I like that. The total support from Adrian. She doesn't look scared. She doesn't look timid. She kind of does a nod and grits her mouth together. And she looks great. Too,
I do wish for this one moment you could do a side by side of her face from the original cut and this face. It's completely different.
Oh, I see. Yeah. I bet her podcast would have that all edited together, Doug. I'm sorry.
Probably.
Yeah. So there you go. We got the Vaseline on the eyes, which is always kind of weird. But
the sound of that was weird.
That was real visceral. With ASMR.
Yeah, man. I don't know. Maybe there's something like I have a sensitivity to that, but like that sound, I'm like, yeah.
It sounded squishy. It sounded. They used some of the sound from Party Kitty and Studs, I think.
And high above us, the General Secretary of the Soviet and other members of the Politburo have now made their way to their seats high above the ring here in Moscow.
In adoration, or are they like, we better cheer, he's going to chop our heads off?
Probably a bit of both.
So it's not for Gorbachev, but when Joseph Stalin was leader of the Soviet Union and people would clap for him, no one wanted to be the first person to stop clapping because a couple times he got that person killed. There was a time where people clapped for like 45 minutes because one person like dropped of exhaustion or something. Like just absurdity.
Man, see, I would almost be like, just kill me. I don't want
to. Yeah, no kidding.
You're almost doing me a favor by taking me out at this point. Like, really? This is the existence I'm living in? Yeah.
That's because you've had the taste of freedom.
Oh, that's true. So again, this is another great shot here. Not in the theatrical cut. We got Rocky praying in the bathroom, but it's a wider shot. We see Tony there looking at Adrian as Adrian's touching the gloves of Rocky's gloves. I think that's kind of cool.
And I was going to say earlier, him praying at the sink like that calls back to the first Rocky film.
Mm-hmm. First two. I think he did that in the second one too.
Of course, Mickey says, I hate it when he does that. It makes me nervous.
I wish Duke would go time, kid.
Oh, yeah, man. Exactly. Imagine that. Yeah. Now, Adrian's wearing gloves. Is that white gloves she's wearing there?
They are, yeah. Those are gloves. I don't know. The 80s?
Yeah, she's wearing white gloves. Cool.
Like ceremonial gloves.
Well, what I liked about the scene is that Adrian's touching the gloves. She's wearing her white gloves. She's touching Rocky's gloves.
Rocky has his boxing gloves on.
Well, we talked about this. I think they have a second pair in case there's damage or something. I wouldn't be surprised. Having a second pair, is that not something they do? Maybe, especially in the change room, they might have more than one pair. But you're right.
No, but that sounds reasonable.
Just having one pair might be risky. If something lace breaks, who knows? It doesn't quite fit. Who knows? But anyways, she's holding the second pair of gloves as Rocky is praying with his other gloves. But two things. One, they're all wearing white. There you go. A color change scheme. They're all wearing white. The robe's white, Adrian's outfit's white, Tony's shirt's white. And then what I also like, watch this, Adrian, or Talia Shire, she smiles at Paulie / Burt Young. It's a nice little moment. I don't know why. Just quick. It's very fast, but she does a nice little smile at Paulie, which I think is sweet. Watch. Look. See?
Yeah.
I don't know why I like that. I don't know. Maybe it's not in the original cut, so it's just it's new to see, and it's just kind of cool to see that moment of Adrian smiling. But I wonder how much of it's like, is that scripted? That's what I want to know. Is like, is that moment scripted? Like, okay, Adrian, Talia, I want you to smile at Bert, or is it just something that happens that's caught on camera? I like that kind of stuff in films, right? I
don't think you could script that because it wasn't like a for the camera smile. It was like a smile of recognition. Hey, how's it going? Smile.
Yeah. I like those little moments. There's no way of knowing at this point, 40 years later or whatever, but I would like to know, Adrian or Talia, when you did that, was that scripted or you just did it? Yeah.
Interesting.
Okay, we have more inner dialogue, Kyle. So Rocky's saying, you don't know anything about this guy. Now, this isn't his inner thoughts. This is all over the place. So now he's remembering a previous event that he had with Apollo.
Fight. It's just some kind of exhibition fight. This thing don't mean nothing.
You may not understand what I'm talking about now. I can appreciate that, but you will when it's over. Believe me, you will when it's over.
They were good to cut that out.
Well, no, he put it in. I mean, that was put into the director's cut.
They did cut it out originally when they did the first.
Well, you got to keep in mind this. When I say director's cut, I don't know if you knew like Sly when he did this director's cut. Of course, this necessarily wasn't what was in even the original. It was just he Frankenstein some of this. So I think
sure.
So some of it was, of course, footage that was filmed that he put back in. But that overlay of that dialogue, I want the audience to see that Rocky's thinking of that conversation during that time. What does that conversation mean to you?
I don't know how I feel about that exactly. When you watch the movie, he's taking that moment to pray like he does before every single fight. That right there, it seems like it's a distraction to him. He's not doing his pre-fight ritual. He's being distracted by these memories of Apollo, and now it feels like he's going after revenge. I don't like the revenge aspect of it.
Okay. Yeah, I like that.
I'm against, in general, him doing that inner monologue. For me, I would have preferred where he was like hesitating about throwing the towel, like feeling that guilt and stuff like that, kind of reminding himself like why he's there. But like the whole understanding when it's over, I think what bothers you about that is that I was never really convinced why Apollo did that in the first place. Like it had some kind of deeper meaning other than his own ego. I just don't buy the patriotism angle. Like I think it influenced Apollo, but I don't think it was the main thing. So him saying that doesn't mean anything to me. Where it's like Apollo actually dying and Rocky holding that towel and Rocky thinking about that over and over again. If I was Rocky, that's what would be going through my mind.
That's emperor level foresight. If Apollo knew that him sacrificing himself was going to cause Rocky to call this fight and win to save America, it's a little far-fetched. But I just don't like Rocky being distracted before this fight. I want him mind clear,
I'm just wondering, why is he thinking of the statement, "You will when it's over"? Like, what is he going to come to the conclusion of? We talked about this previously, of course. I think again, if he loses, Apollo's still dead. Adrian's absolutely correct about that. So all Rocky's doing now is putting himself in the same danger fate of his best friend. He's doing that himself to his family. So, but then he wins, and as we find out, all he's done by winning is he loses his house and gets brain damage and goes full R word in Rocky 5. So either way, he loses.
This kind of reminds me of when I'd watch Star Trek or something, and like the Klingons, I was talking about like honor and things like that. And like, I have to restore Apollo's honor like vicariously through him or some bullshit like that.
He didn't die dishonorably, though. I don't know what. I don't know, man.
It's hard to reverse engineer what happened to you.
Yeah, I know. I don't know what he's supposed to realize, though, when this is all over.
You can't have the Russians think that they're better than us. That can't happen. You have to show them that they are weak little bitches.
Yeah. That's the 180 turn that has nothing to do with Apollo. Is this a patriot movie or is it a movie about, loss and coming to terms with that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Both. Yeah.
Carry on as you were.
Yo, Rocco, I know you're kind of busy just now, but I want to tell you some things I never told you. I know sometimes I act stupid and I say stupid things, but you kept me around, and other people would have said, drop that bum. You give me respect. It's hard for me to say these kind of things because that ain't my way. But if I could just unzip myself and step out and be someone else, I want to be you. You're real hot, Rock. That's cool. Now blast this guy's teeth out.
I'll try.
So all that was the same. So there was nothing changed at all between that whole discussion and everything. That was all the same.
Did you catch when he's saying, I know sometimes I act stupids and I say stupid things, like adding that little part to stupid is kind of like what
I caught that too with the S at the end, even though the captions didn't pluralize stupid. But of course, the Rockyisms or the Slyisms he puts in these characters talking. I know I do stupid thing or do things stupid.
Act stupids, yeah.
Well, he does do it more than once, Doug. He does do it more than once.
True.
So now they're about to go through the crowd. So we'll go back to the original cut to see how they walk through the crowd. There are differences between the two. So here's the original cut of them walking through the gate through the crowd.
Right now, one of the fighter started to make his way through this crowd and toward the ring. Listen to this crowd. We knew he wouldn't be popular, but this was on pure hatred. Rocky's face absolutely like stone. He is a picture of concentration, and the booing crowd here does not seem to bother him one bit. The champ has a look tonight that can burn through lead. And it seems that the booing crowd has absolutely no effect on the man. His concentration seems to be like stone.
That's my dad. You know, what do you think we are, nerds?
Can someone explain that scene to me? Number one, I never understood what the friends were like. Well, also, did we figure out what time it was in the States? Have we done that yet? I remember we did it once. If this fight took place, let's say it's 7 o'clock in Russia time, what the time in Philadelphia would be?
Russia's 3 hours ahead of London. London's 5 hours ahead of Eastern time. So it's like 8 hours difference.
I'm using that thing that Doug has, the Google thing. If it's 7 p.m. in Russia, what time is it in Philly? It'd be noon.
Oh, close.
Okay. So those kids are at Rocky's house on Christmas Day.
At noon.
Away from their own families.
It's like, that's my dad. It's like, that's why we're here. That's why it's like, we're here on Christmas, bro.
At the end of the fight, he says, and to my kid who should be in bed.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay, what if Rocky Jr. stayed at his friend's house for Christmas since both of his parents are alone? So he's like not having Christmas with like the maid or whatever. Because maybe the maid is with their family on Christmas or the nanny.
That's a good theory, but I think that we're led to believe he is at Rocky, or they're watching
the robot in the background, because that would kill my theory. Yeah. Shit.
Maybe we could see if it's the robot sitting in front of a window, if there's a window in the back. If we could see if it's dark out.
Peeking through a window. He's like following the boy around.
If it's dark or light out, I mean, you know, the timeline is otherwise airtight in these movies, so I can't imagine they would screw this up.
It's like, Robert, it's time to change your underpants. Like, go away. Leave me alone.
Underpants.
The robot is in the house because when they cheer at the end or whatever, I think the robots are wearing. Remember, he's wearing the Santa beard and everything.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
I just showed him. He was in that scene.
Oh, was he even there? I've seen this movie so many times. I know what he looks like, even my brain, without even looking at the screen. But the friends say, "What are we are nerds?" I don't get like
nerds always meant smart. Like,
well, that doesn't make sense. So, but why would he say, "What do you think we are?"
Well, nerds would be out of touch with popular culture. Right, nerds are into like they're into Star Trek and shit like that. They're not into like what's going on and what's cool.
Dorks,
and this Rocky thing, okay. What he should have said is like, "What do you think we are, idiots?" Like,
that's what I meant. That's what I'm saying. What do you think you are, stupid? But you're right, Kyle. I'll accept that because that's the only thing that makes it. Because nerds, in my mind, has always been smart. Like, you're intelligent. You have a geek is somebody who's knows a lot about a certain subject. Like, we're kind of geeks about Rocky in the sense. Like, we have a lot of quote unquote knowledge about the films. A nerd is somebody who's good at math, sciences, the biology. You could be a nerd in that, like a scholastically, you're kind of like smart and dorky about being smart. So him saying, "What do you think we are, nerds?" He's like, you're right. Stupid would be the response, because like obviously that's why we're here, dude. We're here at your house to watch your dad fight. So what do you think we are? So, like, that's why we're here. That should have been the line, really. Well, yeah, that's why we're here, idiot.
And that kid grew up to be Kevin Connolly.
Yeah, that's true. Remember when I almost had him as an interview on my show back in the day?
And then he ghosted you.
He totally ghosted me. He said he would do it and everything. He said he would do it. They'd come on the show. Okay, let's set up a time that works for you. All right, still kind of waiting to hear from you about a time. It went from the I'll do your show to set up a time, and he ghosted me. Like, you freaking everyone's clamoring to interview for Kevin Connolly. Like,
right, exactly. He was worried you're going to bring up Gotti.
Kevin, if you're listening, you.
He did ghost me. I got Bill Conti. I got Kevin Connolly ghosting me.
Listen to this crowd. It sounds insane.
Not an expert on Soviet crowds, but this reminds me of Doug. You probably wouldn't know about this, but in the early 70s, the Canadian national hockey team had like this series against the Soviet national hockey team. And unlike the Olympics, where you can only use amateurs, these are like all the pro players, like on the off season. So it's supposed to be like the clash of the best of the best. And half the games were Canada and half the games were the Soviet Union. And the players talked about when they went to play in the Soviet Union how weird it was because the crowd was like dead quiet and they were dressed up really nice. He said it was like they were there to watch like a ballet or something like that, or like to watch a theater show. He said like the crowds there weren't rowdy. And then like the Canadians that came over to visit and managed to be able to see the game were really rowdy in the crowd. And people were like, what the are you guys doing? Basically. So
crazy.
I think in this case, like, I understand they can't do that in this film. They have to make the crowd really antagonistic, but at the same time, it would be weird if Rocky walked in there and like it was dead quiet and everyone's just kind of like staring at you and they have like their hats on and shit like that.
That would make a statement for sure. Like, it's not like it is back home. You want to paint Russia to be like a different world altogether. You do pull something like that. That would be great.
And now the entrance of the Russian national champion.
Okay, we'll stop it there before Drago enters. I'll go back to the director's cut. A little bit of differences here with Rocky entering the ring. It's more, I think, you'll see. Here we go. There's definitely more footage of them like steeling themselves to enter this hostile crowd. They have more footage of the group there kind of like nodding at each other. Like, okay, we got this. We can do this. We can see this through.
Right now, one of the fighters starting to make his way through this crowd and toward the ring. Listen to this crowd.
It's kind of funny editing because they showed Rocky and his crew running. And then when he goes, look at this crowd, they're now walking. So they did like a quick run stop. Obviously, because he's like running kind of like this. And then they cut to him. He's walking. This is a funny edit because obviously you're not going to stop running in an instant and start walking. That movement wouldn't make sense. But anyways, there is less music, if any kind of score. It's very silent. There's no score underneath of this hostile crowd moment. I think it's to make it more imposing or more, not sinister, but more like scary.
Threatening in a way, yeah.
We knew he wouldn't be popular, but this borders on pure hatred. Rocky's face absolutely like stone. He is a picture of concentration, and the booing crowd here does not seem to bother him one bit. The champ has a look tonight that can burn through lead. What Rocky Balboa really brings to this dance is a lot of heart and a lot of determination, but Ali gives away strength and he gives away size.
This is all new commentary here.
Yeah, I actually like this. Yeah, it reminds me of good old days of Bill Baldwin and Stu Nahan.
Yeah, I was thinking that exact same thing.
It's like it might be the caveman against the cavalier and stuff.
Right. I was thinking the same thing, Kyle.
Good
minds think
commentary.
alike, Doug.
Damn right.
Oh, great minds think alike. Yeah, you got. Yeah. I should just step aside here. Let you guys finish.
Yeah, don't pay attention to that other guy.
He just runs the podcast. No big deal.
Yeah, you might as well be the producer.
Almost.
Producer.
Maybe even more important, he gives away age.
There you go.
It seems that
Go back a little bit to that commentary because one, they had a little kiss there. I like that kiss between Rocky and Adrian. Funny, we don't see a lot of kissing in the Rocky films between the two characters.
Maybe that's part of Talia's contract is that she doesn't have to kiss him.
She's still traumatized from the first date.
The first movie.
But anyways,
Katie would have the opposite in her contract.
Yeah.
Many kisses.
the champ has a look tonight that can burn through lead. What Rocky Balboa really brings to this dance is a lot of heart and a lot of determination, but Ali gives away strength and he gives away size, and maybe even more important, he gives away age. And it seems that the booing crowd has absolutely no effect on the man. His concentration seems to be like stone. Listen to this crowd. It sounds insane. The power of Ivan Drago is virtually a biochemical product. The man is infinitely stronger than Rocky Balboa and a foot taller. Every punch is a lethal weapon.
Wow, what do you think of all that commentary? A lot to take in there.
Yeah, biochemical product, huh? Just sprinkling little nuggets of what's possibly going on behind the Russian scenes.
Yeah. Well, you cannot accuse these commentators of being like pro-American propagandists. Like they're kind of telling it how it is, saying, Rocky's kind of screwed here. Hopefully he can will his way into a victory.
Again, they're just showcasing all the things that are against Rocky. He doesn't have the size. He doesn't have the age. He doesn't have the reach. Doesn't all this stuff. There's again for the crowd to show how much of an underdog Rocky really is in this fight. And then, of course, they say all that like every punch that Drago has is lethal. And now here he is entering the ring.
And also, they bring Rocky out first, which is the challenger always comes out first.
That's right. So in this sense, he would be the.
But it's like in this case, for instance, Drago came out first against Apollo, right? He's already in the ring, and then it was lifted into the area, but he was still there first. And then Apollo came out. But it kind of makes sense because Apollo is a former champion, at least. Like he's the more established person. And so is Rocky, really. But it's like also Drago's home turf, so I get it.
Yeah, that's what it is, I think.
And now the entrance of the Russian national champion, Ivan.
I'm not going to go back and forth between the original on this entrance. They use in this director's cut the same music, which I'm glad Sly. What I liked about what Sly did, at least a little bit with the music, I think he did the right choice here and there with Bill Conti's soundtrack to elevate the director's cut where appropriate, but then he kept Vince DiCola's. Is one of the few films, if you think about it, where you have two composers, you have two different music pieces, and he kept Vince DiCola's. Well, that menacing. It's one of the best soundscapes of all the Rocky franchise. Is this moment of Drago's entrance, the way he stands in that floodlight, very almost like the Russian Jesus has landed in the ring. It's like whoa! It's bright and big and beautiful, and it's a great silhouette shot. It's one of the best shots in all the Rocky franchise. In this film is Drago's entrance.
I've always loved it.
Drago, a man with an entire country in his corner.
I just love it.
It's like a monster coming out of the mist. Really says a lot.
Yeah, I love the sound that kind of hissy sound. It reminds me of a machine. That's what it sounds like, almost like a hissing of a steam machine of the Siberian train. Like there's that hissing sound, almost like this machine has entered the building. Now I'm going to mute it just as they're walking because I think there's not much talking. There's a lot of, if I remember correctly, just a lot of them walking, talking, staring each other down, but we can play it as we're talking to it. Yeah, we just have Drago looking at Rocky as he enters the ring. You got the smoke. He looks very young here. It's weird. I mean, not weird, but it's, I don't know if it's just the lighting and the makeup on his face or whatever, but Drago looks like he's de-aged since the beginning of the film to some degree. Now, to be fair, I do think they filmed the fight parts first, is what I understand, because that's when they're most ripped and everything. They want to do it before they get injured or anything else throughout the film. I think they do the fight sequences around the first parts of the film, I think, is the fight sequence.
How long did Stallone spend in the hospital after getting his chest caved in?
Yeah.
So it might have been, he might have aged, it might have been like a lot younger here.
And this entrance of Drago is much longer. Look, Drago comes up right up to Rocky, which I believe is not in the original. I'm not going to compare it, but I'm 90%.
I thought it was, but maybe I'm wrong. I'm not 100% in that. That's super disrespectful to do that. Like to go right up to
come across the ring.
Yeah.
It's such a contrast between in America before the Apollo Creed fight. He was like a deer in headlights. You know, so overwhelmed by all the pomp and everything that was going on there. And you would have thought that Apollo had the leg up just because of how fish out of water Drago seemed. But here it's like he's owning this room. Like he owns this place.
Look at the expression on the face of Ivan Drago. He seems impervious to this madness of the crowd. It's like a volcano just waiting to erupt. The Russian champion is amazing.
Now, what I love here is you got the, I don't know why, but I love it's the English or the British commentators. Yeah. Are they in the original cut? I can't remember now.
Yeah, they are. They are.
But I love the way they come. They sound so sophisticated and so like, it's almost like when you're watching like a nature show about the lioness, about the prance on the prey.
Detect the roid rage in Drago as he's about to beat the living out of his opponent.
He says it all like foppish.
Yeah.
Very cool, ladies and gentlemen, as he acknowledges his premiere.
He nods to Mikhail Gorbachev, Drago does. Looks at Rocky one last time. Now, what I love here is that they disrobe. It's done very quickly, but they both disrobe around the same time. Rocky disrobes, a bit of jeering and booing at Rocky's build, and when Drago does it, the crowd kind of pops for Drago, of course. Check it out. I love how Rocky's almost nodding. Like, that's a pretty good physique.
Yeah, like, okay, you got me in that department. I feel like in the original cut, there was much more of a focus on Rocky when he takes his robe off.
There definitely was. So to Sly's credit, he kind of made it very even keeled here. Both fighters take off their robes. I don't think they do it the peck off. There was a peck off in the original cut.
Yeah, with the peck flutters.
Can you do a peck flutter? There you go. Look at that. There you go, folks. You got to go to our YouTube to see the peck flutter from Big Gun Doug over there.
I got to agree with Katie, though, when it comes to that shot in the original cut, when he takes his robe off, holy moly, what a shredded body that dude has.
Yeah, it's incredible. He worked very hard for it. So how great is the Russian anthem, everyone?
They're throwing some major shade.
How so?
Because, like, normally it's something like this, they play the anthem of both countries.
Okay.
But here they're just going with the Soviet one.
Now, I love how they show there's like a band playing, but we don't see the people singing. So is the band playing to just a vocal track, or is there...
Yeah.
Is there a band playing on top of a band track? I'm a little confused. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I was wondering that too.
Should have shown like a bunch of male Russian soldiers singing the anthem. That would have been cool.
Yeah. Or the whole crowd. When he turns and looks at Rocky, it's like Drago's saying, like, this is how you make a presentation, not that fancy bullshit that you did in Vegas.
Yeah.
That's true. Drago came into the ring the night before and talked to his trainer, Nikolai. You got the poster wrong. I'm wearing white shorts with a red.
He doesn't really matter because you have no rights here.
You wear what we tell you.
You can tell the budget's increased with the paint. Look at this painting compared to the first Rocky film.
Yeah.
It's the entire wall of the arena. That thing's massive.
I love how the band actually stopped playing before the music stopped. So what were they playing to? It's weird. Yeah,
you're really focused on that band. I'm focused on Rocky's body. I don't know what the hell's going on here.
Well, I think we're going to stop just before the punches are thrown for Katie to join. I know she really wanted to be there for the fight, so I think we might be able to do the fight. There's a lot that went on before the fight, so I think that's a good episode. And then I think the final episode might just be the fight. I think so. I have already said it. I know eccentric viewers will get mad at me for doing this, but I can't go back. That's a lot of footage. Here's round one. Here's round one. The other one. Here's round two. Mm-hmm. Like I think we've seen the final fight so many times that watching the final fight with just the director's cut, I think, is worthy enough. And we did cover the final fight of Rocky IV extensively in our first go around of this on Going the Distance, the Rocky Series podcast. So let's just see the intro here of the two fighters to each other.
Наш гость из Соединенных Штатов Америки, абсолютный чемпион мира Рокки Бальбоа.
I can tell you what he said.
Oh, sure.
I have a Russian-speaking friend translate this. Just give me a second to find it. He said this is the only person in this movie that actually speaks Russian.
Oh.
The announcer guy, he's like a real Russian speaker. He's like the only one.
I love how we have the one Russian soldier who's whistling for Rocky. I appreciate that. You still got one fan. I kind of like this Rocky guy.
No, whistling in Russia is disrespectful.
Maybe the opposite. And
I'm glad you corrected me before.
Let's go back to producing, Ryan, and shut up.
Yeah, I apologize. I'm sorry. A better podcaster would know about the whistling in Russia. I apologize.
In all my years, seen such a hostile crowd.
I love the way he says Ivan Draga. I love how he says Draga. I don't know why it kills me, but how he does the Drago, it's Draga.
Like with it, in Russian with like an O at the end, they always say it like an A, and I don't know why.
Oh. Interesting. Oh, okay.
But the A is also said like an A.
Yeah. Tell them to get their act together.
Is that a little acknowledgement to Ludmilla?
What's that?
Drago looked over his shoulder and raised his
probably. But Sly cut it out.
It's an unbelievable sight to see.
So apparently, you say the ref of this fight is the same ref of Rocky 3 final fight. Is that right, Kyle?
Yes. Yeah, Marty Dankins.
They flew him out. Hey, we really appreciate your work on the Clubber fight. Could you come out to the Drago fight?
That's exactly.
Cool.
They're toe-to-toe. The Russian towers above the American. It's a true case of David and Goliath here.
I just love using these British guys. I wish they were used for all the Rocky films to some degree, because it sounds very much like we're watching a nature show. It sounds Richard Attenborough, whatever the guy's name is.
As the cheetah bears down on the gazelle.
The toe-to-toe. It's a true David versus Goliath.
I know, I love it.
It's unbelievable, the condition of both men.
I must break you.
Did you catch that?
I love the Japanese guys.
I love it. Now, is that the original cut? Is that the original?
Yes.
I don't know why I never caught it till this re-review of the
like when he hits his gloves, he goes, "Oh," and he launches into whatever the Japanese do. Everything's so emotional with them.
Like, oh, Godzilla! That's what it felt like.
Jesus Christ.
I'm trying to find that thing still. I'm about to give up in just a second. Here it is here. There's the victory speech. Oh, they mistranslate Rocky's victory speech. Okay, he says, ladies and gentlemen, in the blue corner, our guest from the United States of America, absolute world champion, Rocky Balboa. And then he says, 5 seconds later, the guy shouting from the crowd says, son of a bitch. And then he says, in the red corner, Olympic champion, honored master of sports, Ivan Drago, and then the crowd says, hoorah. It says, when the fighters approach each other, the announcer says, you must honor the referee's instructions, which were mentioned in the dressing room. Fight honest, fight clean. And then, he also says that the cube on the ceiling, it's supposed to keep track of round, but it says it uses the wrong word. It just says the word once instead of round. Like, it's like they f***ed up.
Funny.
Interesting. I like that.
Yeah, I thought it was all just gibberish we were talking, but
well, it is. According to our ears, we don't speak Russian.
Remember what I said back there about none of you? Yeah. Forget it.
Now they took out the director's cut.
Thanks,
Rocky.
Paulie.
Yeah, thanks, Paulie. Or thanks a lot, Paulie. I don't know why he took it out. If he's going to take out his thanks a lot, Paulie comment to Paulie saying that, he should have taken that. He should have left it. That's one of my biggest complaints about this whole sequence is Paulie doing that really tender moment before they enter the ring. I really like it. And I think Paulie, or the writer, Sly, ruins it a little bit with Paulie's joke. It wasn't needed. I think you could have just left with punch this guy's teeth out, leave it at that. Because obviously, Paulie, he still feels that way about Rocky. So it kind of ruins it because Paulie knows, you're about to lose. He just finished saying, punch that guy's teeth out. Now he's saying, oh, I don't want to be you because you're going to be destroyed here. So it's a kind of a juxtaposition between the compliment and the encouragement. Now he's in the ring saying, you're going to get your head caved in. I don't want to be you anymore. Ha, ha, ha. The slide cuts out the thanks a lot, Paulie. I just say cut out. All I'm saying is cut out that whole part. Just leave it out. Just it takes away from the intensity of the situation.
Hey, Ryan, sorry. There's a kid issue I got to deal with. I got to get out early.
Send us your answers to your trivia, so we'll tally it up next episode.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay.
All right. Sorry, guys. See you later.
No worries. We're about to close.
Thanks
up.
for going late for me, Kyle. Thank you.
Not a problem at all. Have a good day, guys.
It's all good. We're about to end it here. So, what are your thoughts on what I was saying there?
I always liked it. I always thought it kind of matched Paulie's tone throughout this movie. I think Stallone took out his response because we know how well Sly does when he's trying to dip his toe into comedy. In Rocky's eyes, it might have been a little clunky the way he said, thanks a lot, Paulie. Along the lines of what you're saying, it kind of has more of the vibe of the pre-Thunderlips fight. Remember all the jokes that they were saying about Thunderlips when he was walking to the ring?
Right.
it has more of a tone that matches that, which was supposed to be lighthearted and stuff, and this is not supposed to be. So I can see what you mean where it doesn't fit.
Just leave it out.
But like I said, I always liked it because I just love Paulie in this movie.
I agree. I like Paulie, but I'm saying if he's the director's cut, he's already making it a serious film. He's already kind of made that his film. So he took out the robot. He takes out other things. He takes out the comics talk to Apollo. Why leave that one? Because it ruins the earlier moment that we just had. So I think it was of all the things that if you're in a cutting mood, Sly, I'm surprised you kept that in. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to end it there anyways. But Doug, we need your answers. I guess Kyle will have to give his answers to me and Katie next episode. We'll have to tally it up. But why don't we get yours and my score at least, and I can give that to Kyle next episode.
All right. I want to apologize to Katie in advance if I flubbed this.
No, don't apologize. She's the nerd.
Yeah, but my points are going towards her tally, so I know.
She gets too many points. That's what I'm saying. So what did you say for the number of pounds per square inch that Drago punches?
I put 2150.
You put 2150? Okay, I put 1850.
It's not really specified which punch he's talking about, so I just went with the highest one.
Okay, well, I was bang on. Thank you very much. 1850. But I don't know why I remember that number, but yeah, 1850. Okay, who says whatever he hits, he destroys?
The handler, Nikolai.
Yeah, whatever his name. I don't think the name matters. It's I'll say Drago's handler. You're saying the same thing. Does he give the name? Yeah, he says Drago's trainer. That's the actual answer, but it's more of his handler.
Yeah, he's not the trainer, is the Cuban guy. So
hey, come on, hey, this is Rocco. He's just 10 years old when he plays. Yeah. Go easy on the kid.
I am.
What word does the ring announcer say Rocky defines? What was your answer?
I said heart.
I said awesome. That's it. Awesome.
Is there a right answer?
Okay, well, what was the last question? The last question was, who does Rocky pull in the sled?
Mm-hmm.
And the answer to that is Paulie. So that's 40. That's question 41. That is Paulie. That's what you said too?
Yes. Okay.
I'm just working backwards here because I think it might be a misprint. What does Apollo call Drago's trainer? Oh, he just mixed them up. Okay, I see. He flipped them around. So
I don't know if it was Apollo or Paulie, but Comrade Big Mouth?
I got Comrade Big Mouth, and that's the answer.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah, no, because he says until Comrade Big Mouth over here says XYZ or something like that.
Was that was Apollo? I was second guessing myself, thinking that Paulie said that, but
so you're doing good so far. Well, I actually got the one. Okay, so the last word. Yeah, sorry, 1, 2, 3. I don't remember this. The word from the announcer was courage. That's the answer. Courage. Did you get courage?
At what? No, I said heart. But at what point did he? I can't even picture right now, but
I'm sure Katie at home is probably like, as she's listening, she goes, I would have gotten it. I would have gotten it.
She would have gotten the PSI right. So I got 3 out of the 5.
Nice. Thank you, Doug. Thank God. I love it. I'm sorry, Katie.
Yeah.
She's sipping Mai Tai somewhere right now. She can suck it up. Okay.
Is she tropical? Where is she?
I don't know. I can't keep up with her shenanigans.
Right.
She doesn't tell me anything. All right. So I just want to say thank you, Doug. Thank you so much for coming on. You're always a pleasure. Love having you on. Of course, Doug and I also do standalone films. Check out the Sylvester. If you just Google the Sylvester Stallone Podcast Network or the Sylvester Stallone Podcast, me, Doug, and Craig, we do all Sly's films on that podcast. There is actually a standalone feed for that. It's also in the Action Heroes Podcast Network, but there's a standalone feed for it as well that a lot of them listen to. So check that out if you like what we cover here and you like Sly films. Check out that. So Google the Sylvester Stallone Podcast Network or just show, and it'll be me, Craig, and Doug are on that, covering the Sly films that aren't Rambo or Rocky necessarily. That's what we cover there. Check out my Ed Zwick podcast. Check it out, man. Doug and I did Glory together, so that was a lot of fun. And Katie and I have done a few films there too. So check out the Ed Zwick podcast. And then finally, Doug can be found on the last of the Action Heroes Podcast Network. He does Arnold films. He does the Rocky Minute, and he guest hosts on many other shows. Doug, anything else I can plug for you?
Yeah. No, that's all the plugs. I appreciate you coming on. We've podcasted dozens of times together. So me
dozens
joking about calling you. a producer, is all in good fun.
Oh, I know.
But as much as I love doing all the other stuff with you, Rocky is always my number one. And I
Awesome.
love the few times I've gotten to come on the show. It's been just a great experience for me.
You're the first one I call when I need a guest co-host because of vacations or Kyle's schedule. You're the first one I call. So
I appreciate them.
Love having you on.
And Pop appreciates my takes. I appreciate that, my friend.
Oh yeah, that's Louise. That's Louise there. Pop Flores.
Oh, so, Louise. Oh yeah.
Louise is great. He's awesome. Thanks everyone who watched this live, and that's it. Thanks a lot, everyone. Oh yeah, I almost forgot. Doug, you ready? Okay. So Doug, with that, this episode is over.
Nothing's over.
No, it's horrible. What are you doing?
I know. I'm just kidding. I did that on purpose. That one was on purpose. Okay, do it again.
Okay, just go ahead.
That one was on purpose. When I said ding ding last time, like
we're keeping
moron.
this all in. We're keeping it in. Go.
I didn't hear no damn bell.
I just want to say